right, and we wanted to welcome you all here. The whole purpose of this program is to really share online marketing strategies that have worked for us in Painesville. So everything you'll be learning today has been implemented in a community very similar to yours and works. And we're also going to do step-by-step explanations with kind of like the real-life examples of what we've done. And you'll be able to see very quickly that it's scalable to your community and that it can very quickly be done, and you can really see the impact of it. Kind of the overall framework that we're operating in is that for 200 years, the main source of news for small towns was our local newspapers. And if you see this graphic, it's the amount of newspaper subscribers versus Facebook users in the state. I compile the top 50 biggest newspapers in Ohio and the amount of subscribers they had, and you can see that our world's changing quite a bit. And Facebook's pretty ubiquitous. 1 in 4 internet page views in the U.S. are Facebook, and 1 in 3 Americans have a Facebook profile. So it's definitely very impactful, and the world's changing around us. And so how do we react as a town, basically? So what can our town do? This is what we've done. We've grown our contact list by a couple hundred people per month for about 2 years. Your contact list is like the number of emails, email users you can email, or the number of people that are fans of your Facebook page. It's proved to be a very powerful and affordable promotion tool. And Facebook is free, and we use an email management program, and that's Constant Contact. And that is an annual budget of $420 for like 5,000 or less users, and we're about to cross the 5,000 threshold, so we'll have to spend a little bit more, but you can. It's scalable, so if you have a much smaller user list of emails, you can get it cheaper. But here's kind of like the situation on our local level. Our town has a population of about 17,500 the residents of the city of Painesville. If you add up our Facebook page, we have a Facebook group, which is kind of like the old style that we had to convert away from, and our email contacts. If you add up all three, we have about 13,000 Facebook and email contacts, which is very, very close to our total city population. So in some senses, without any additional expense, we could contact the entire town. Supporters and email contacts live outside the community. But compared to our local newspaper, which is the News Herald, only about 1,400 subscribers live in the city of Painesville or have offices in the city of Painesville. So you can imagine, like, if you're a new restaurant and you're opening in your town square, or even in our town square, if you buy the entire front page of your local newspaper, how many people you'd reach, versus our organization sent out a Facebook message and an email for you advertising it. And so you can see that our advertising power is very significant through this, and we'll show you exactly how we built our list so high. And I think the key difference is focusing on list building and how to grow your number of Facebook and email contacts that high. So we'll show you just how to do that today. And how we've used this for our program, we've had record event crowds and turnout. This is an event that had been existed in the city before our organization existed, but we did some of the publicity for it, and we packed it so tight full of people that the number one complaint was there were too many people at this event. And we've had similar success at other events and have helped drive traffic to every event in the downtown, whether we ran it or not. From an organization standpoint, we've got dozens of new volunteers through Facebook and email, and we've also have a very substantial intern program. And this past year, we've had about 17 college interns, all of whom we recruited through email and Facebook and contacted them directly. And it's also been a huge benefit for our businesses. An example is we had a new pizzeria open last July, and we sent out Facebook advertising and email advertising for them, and overnight the business increased 400%. And I can give you other examples of how it directly benefits businesses, but that kind of gives you an idea of the power of this. And it's not time intensive, it's not resource intensive. You just have to have a very scattered strategy, and we'll show you exactly how to do that today. And so kind of what are the best tools? Like, how do we have that sort of reach in our community? Here's the, kind of to prove a point, here's the website of Barack Obama. And out of all of the things that he could communicate to his position on the war in Iraq, on the economy, his biography, anything, the number one thing he wants from visitors to his website is to give over your email address. Because the reality is that you visit most websites maybe once or twice or a handful of times and you never go back. But if that entity has your email address, they can contact you periodically over time. So I'm on this email list. I get an email from Barack Obama probably about once a month or once a week from him about whatever is relevant, Today it might be Egypt, tomorrow it might be the economy, who knows. But he has the ability to contact me where I would never go back to his website that frequently. And so that's kind of the focus. A lot of marketing, and email remains the single most effective method of advertising. If you have a list of your customers and you can get them to buy again, basically, is how it would be in the general advertising world. And nearly everyone you hope to target has an email. You have an email address. If you think of everyone on your board, everyone in your town, almost everybody has an email address. It's just a matter of how you get that. Email is kind of aggressive and a little bit in your face. It's not passive. When you email someone, you're kind of breaking through all the competing commotion. I mean, if you think of all the restaurants in your county, if there was one restaurant that had all the email addresses of everyone in the county and everybody else didn't, that one restaurant would have a huge, huge advantage. And you could give your town that sort of advantage when you're competing against everybody else. And having a regular email campaign really builds a relationship with your customers, your town residents. It helps build credibility for your program. People know how to contact you. They hear about your program. And you can really get a lot of information out to your entire list with really one click. So it's just a very, very effective method. As far as social networking, Facebook is just ubiquitous. In your town, there's about 1 in 3 people that has a Facebook profile. There's a bunch of other Facebook or social networking programs, Twitter, Foursquare, MySpace are examples. And I would ignore those, especially to start, unless you're doing marketing in maybe Bowling Green or Kent, where you have a lot of young users. These websites are just generally not as popular among the general population, and your time's not as well spent spending these up. So I would not deal at all with these until you have your Facebook and your email campaign really set up strongly. And then some simple things to think about your brand. And this is Leo Burnett was kind of like the biggest advertising guru of the 20th century, and his mantra is make it simple. You have to make it simple for the user or the viewer or your customer to understand. And so every time you're thinking about something, how do we simplify this to make it as simple as possible for our users? And then the other thing that we all have a huge advantage is that we're all starting off with a very, very strong brand name. If you ask people about their hometown, it usually holds a very special place in their heart. Probably why a lot of us are involved in revitalizing a historic district is that we already feel passionate about this entity that's already existed for 200 years. Locally, your brand is as powerful as Coca-Cola or Walmart. People will know your neighborhood, especially if they're from town, and it's important to focus on that brand name that already exists. And then also, every time we look at stuff, we have to think like the user. And I'll give you examples of that, of how some downtown revitalization organizations have successfully leveraged their brand and others haven't. And so here's some examples. This is Miami, Florida. This is their Downtown Development Authority. Their mission statement is very similar to a Main Street program. They want to drive business and residential purchases and all that sort of thing in their downtown. But they only have 1,100 people that like this because it's confusing. Your reaction, there's probably a lot of people on this webinar that have been to Miami at one point in their life or been to a town like Miami. But if you read this, it's not for you. You think, well, I'm not part of the Downtown Development Authority, or I've never heard of the Downtown Development Authority, so you're not going to be a fan. That really limits and chokes down the amount of people that they're reaching. In contrast, if you look at this is the Downtown St. Louis Development Authority, or their downtown organization's Facebook profile. Very simple. If you've been to St. Louis, you immediately recognize the arch. If you're a tourist, you might decide to click that. You like downtown St. Louis. You like the brand, you like the product, and look at the difference. It's 40,000 people that like this. So a significant difference between these two profiles. So you got to really think, well, what's our town brand, and really simplify it and make it very, very simple. So here's a couple of downtowns that I thought did a pretty good job of that. Downtown Joplin, anyone that's from this town would recognize that. And their program's called Main Street Joplin, but their product is Downtown Joplin, and that will never change. And so that kind of increases interest. Downtown Loveland, Ohio, I thought this was a really good page. And in terms of visualization, I thought these two pages were good. One thing that you need to decide is whether to use your organization name or whether to use your community name, whether you use Main Street Springfield or Downtown Springfield. My recommendation would probably be to pick Downtown Springfield, just because you'll have the maximum amount of people opt in to receive messages from you. And once they're opt in, you can tell them all about the great things that Main Street Springfield is doing. It's just that some people, just like when you see the Miami Downtown Development Authority, that's not, you think as a user, well, that's not for you. You're not part of that organization. And even if you have some interest in downtown Miami, you might not click that. Where if you focus on the original brand, you're maximizing the people that are going to click like, they're going to sign up through emails, and then you can contact them about all the great things your Main Street program is doing.
Hey, Doug.
Here we're going to get into
Devin.
Yep.
Some people are asking you to slow down your speaking. They're having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Okay. Well, and we're going to get into the email campaign basics, how you can set up an email program. Then the next part, Chapter 4, will be setting up your Facebook profile. And number 5 will be how do you build lists. Now that you know how to use your Facebook and email, how do you build your list so that it's close to the town population or similar program. So with email, we really recommend using an email management program. Here's 3 of the biggest names in the industry. We use Constant Contact, but these other programs I'm sure are just as adequate. And so these things are very simple to understand. It's very easy to manage. It's as simple as if you were trying to send an email to me, that's how simple it is for me to email our entire list of 5,000 people. And if you've ever sent an email via Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo Mail, it's the same exact easy to understand format. It also keeps you legal. Technically, you need to have a way for people to opt out if they don't want to receive your emails again, and that helps you keep that legality where you can imagine that you send out email to 5,000 people once a week and you get 12 people that say they don't want to get your emails anymore. It's obnoxious to go through your database and edit that out, and these programs do that already for you. Another key part is that it measures your results. It measures how many people open your email, how many people click to download the information in your email if you had a download in there. And so that is very effective. It helps you keep track of these emails that I'm sending out. Are people actually reading them? It also allows personalization. It will substitute contact information info into it. So if you've ever had mail merge, if you've ever done mail merge where you get a letter that says, Dear Mayor Smith, Dear Councilman Jones, you could personalize your email just like that, and it gives you a professional look. And here's a simple sign-up from Constant Contact. All the other programs will be very similar. One thing to watch out for is that they'll try to upsell you into buying like the online survey and the event marketing stuff, but just do the email marketing to start. You could even do a free trial to really kind of test it out and see what you think of it. It's basically kind of step-by-step. It's very simple to sign up for. I signed up for a sample account because it had been a while since I had signed up just so I could explain it. And the next day they had like a customer service person call me on the phone. So they'll walk you right through it, and it's pretty easy to understand step-by-step. But once you get into one of these management programs, you want to set up your letterhead format. And then for subsequent emails, you just copy your first email and change the content so that you'll be able to keep your email format the same. You don't have to keep creating a separate email format. So you want to adopt a simple format that you can copy and use over again, and that really establishes trust. People know what to expect, and they're used to it, and it works really well. You want to shy away from really big images or complex newsletter formats and really make it simple. And part of the reason, one, is that it's better to email when you have news. If you think of downtown update number 1, downtown update number 2, that's not that engaging, if you're on the peripheral of your organization. But if it's, big festival this weekend, downtown Springfield, people are going to open that. People are going to click on stuff that has you want to put the juicy information in the email header. So that's part of the reason to get away from the newsletter format, because you want to email it out when you have news. And also different programs view your email in different ways. And an example of this is Yahoo versus Gmail. Yahoo will naturally download images where Gmail won't. The other thing is emails are being read in a lot of different forms. Like for instance, I get all my emails on my BlackBerry. If it's very image heavy and the format's messed up, you lost me already. I can't even read your stuff. So simplify it. Here's an example. This is our view. This is the letterhead we use that we created. We just copy this, and change the text and the subject with each email. But you can see whether the images were downloaded or not, it's the same basic appearance. If you have Gmail, you don't have to click anything else. You get the content and the juice of our newsletter, our email letter, and it's really effective. And that's the thing to keep out in mind is that everyone can't see those images. They also try to have some of these programs suggest having trouble view this email, click here. You want to make it simple. Don't make it so complex that people would have trouble. If it's a basic email format, it'll be very simple. The other thing is sometimes they'll ask you to confirm your relationship. Just get rid of that, because a lot of these email programs in your inbox will show the first part of an email to you. And so if every email you send me starts off with having trouble viewing this email, I'm not seeing your content, it makes me less likely to click on that. So just get rid of that clutter and just simplify your letterhead format so you don't have to deal with that. And here's an example, a textbook example of what not to do. This is an art gallery that's a couple towns over from us, and they got my email somehow and sent me these emails, and I have no idea what they're trying to communicate with me because I'll click to even open it, and it's just, this is what it opens in Gmail for me. And so you can see if you use image-heavy formats, if you have a lot of phrases at the top, you're not directing your users to the content. So don't do that. Keep it simple. You also want to measure your results, and here are 3 metrics that are used for people to measure how successful your email program is. You have open rate, which is the number of people that received your email. If you think of your own email, you don't open every email that you get, and so you can measure, okay, this type of subject line got them to open it, this one didn't. You can also have your click rate. So if say you email out your 10 goals from Main Street Springfield this year, how many people that opened it actually clicked on that PDF to download it, and you'll be able to measure that. And you'll also be able to measure your bounce rate, which is the number of email addresses that you have in your list that just didn't get the email. Maybe their box was full, maybe they discontinued that email, maybe they signed up in handwriting and you didn't type up your that email address correctly. And then here are some key strategies. You want to use a real person sender. All the emails that come from our organization come from me personally or one of our promotion committee's members. It really helps establish trust that people are communicating with a real live person. If you think of brands, if even a lot of the cell phone companies are using one spokesperson, you think of Allstate Insurance, you think of that guy that always thinks, you're in good hands. They try to put a person to their brand. And so that's helpful to help build that trust and that familiarity. You really want to focus on having an engaging subject line. Town update number 2 just doesn't cut it. You need to really put the juice in the subject line. And if you think about it, you're trying to get people to open your email just the same way in the old days. If you think of the little boy selling the newspaper on the street corner, he's not saying today's newspaper edition 45. He's saying bank robbery. He's saying big news. Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. He's yelling out that headline to try to motivate that pedestrian to buy the newspaper. With your engaging subject line or with your subject line, you're trying to engage your reader with that same juice. So put the juice in the subject line. You also want to make your tone conversational. Email when there is news, and you can also insert their contact information and send every email like you're sending it to one person, not like this stale update to everybody. So that really helps you build trust and build a stronger relationship with your readers. And here's an example of an email I got on Thanksgiving from Barack Obama. I'm sure this email went to a million people, but the tone, these email programs can put your first name in there. It makes it seem like he sent this email just to me, just like if your wife sent you this or your husband sent you this email. So that's the kind of tone you want to take. It's very friendly, like you're just communicating with one person, and the program will send it out to 5,000 people or 10,000 people for you. So that's basically how to run your email program. And we're going to get into Facebook now. And so the way Facebook works is you have this basic profile. This is my profile, and this is why people join the website. If they want to connect with their friends, they want to show off their biography or what they're involved with. And so this is, if you're on Facebook, this is the first thing you probably ever had was your personal profile. And on it the users use their profile to connect with their friends and also to connect with brands. So if you see, I filled out my profile. I went to Ohio State. Ohio State University is a brand. That's a page. They're having someone trying to market that, but it's part of your identity. One of the neat things about what we do with downtown revitalization is the town you live in, the town you're from is part of your identity. So it has a similar strong relationship with the viewer. And then you have pages. So you have profiles, which are for people, and like just Joe Smo like me and you. And then you have pages, which are brands. That's Ohio State, that's Coca-Cola, Kenny Chesney, Barack Obama, and that's how you communicate with customers and fans. And then if you've never used Facebook before, this is what your homepage would look like. Friends that you've added, brands that you've become fans of, are all combined into this stream of information on your main page. Think of it like an email inbox, and all of it's combined into like kind of one seamless thing. And so here, this is a sample of what mine looks like one day. As It's pictures of my friend's vacation at the bottom. I have one friend saying she's going to Dallas. I have another friend saying it's cold outside. And in between all that, I'm a fan of Skyline Chili, which is a chili brand from Cincinnati. And here they're posting about, a basketball game between Xavier and UC. And so this advertisement for Skyline Chili shows up just like they're my friend. So you're kind of becoming a part of that person's life, intermixing with everything else in their life. And most of the interactions with people appear on this main feed portion. You don't go to people's profiles or that sort of thing as often. Most of the time when you hear about what's going on with your wife or your aunt, it shows up on your news feed, just like the news feed. I've never been to Skyline Chili's page since the first time I clicked on it, but they show up in my news feed, a couple times a week. Key advantages to starting a page. One, it gives you an immediate website presence. The way Facebook works now is you don't even have to be a member to see the content on a page. So if you Googled, downtown Painesville and clicked on our Facebook page, you don't have to log in, you don't have to register. You can see most of our basic information, our phone number, without even signing up. So it kind of functions as a website. So if you're just starting off, it's much easier. And the other benefit of Facebook is its direct instant connection with your fans. So if you think of Barack Obama, to get his message to people in Ohio, he used to have to rely on the Plain Dealer getting the story right, or the Columbus Dispatch getting the story right, or CNN, and they could put their spin on it. They could let the other side have a say. Now he can contact people just directly without the media ever getting in between. And so that's very effective if you think about it. A newspaper has to cover everything that goes on in your town, and they have to sell newspapers. If your only goal is to send out good news about what's happening in town, you could take your content directly to the people. You could take your new downtown streetscape plan directly to the people, and there's not the newspaper comment of the old grumpy person in town that says, oh, this will never work, downtown's dead. You don't want that interrupting your message, and so this way with Facebook you can get directly to people. And there's also the social engagement aspect of it. If people, you can be able to reach the friends of your fans and really grow through a social way, and we'll really show you how that works a little bit later in the program. And so this is what, if you go to Facebook.com, I'm coughing. You go to Facebook.com, you create a page. You're going to want to create what's on the right, which is an official page. The community pages are more for like general product, like celery or broccoli. You can become a fan of random things like that, but there's no one that's in charge of that brand, if that makes sense. You want an official page. I recommend creating a nonprofit organization page. This is also where you pick out your name. And you can't change your name, so make sure you choose wisely. And you want to make it simple. You want to tie into your existing brand. And you have to think, with the passive supporter, there's the person from our county, click like. And so don't use complex organization names. I mean, I think, Main Street Springfield is okay. I think downtown Springfield would get more people to click in it because more people are familiar with that. And just like the contrast between downtown St. Louis and the Miami Downtown Development Authority, one makes it seem like if you've ever been to St. Louis, you might want to click like. One makes it seem like you have to be in their inner clique of, authority members to do that. Another mistake people make is a lot of people put like official page, like this is Joe's restaurant downtown, official page. Of course it's the official page. Why wouldn't it be? And just don't put official page in your name. It doesn't come off well. And then this is what your page will look like before you add anything to it. And most of it's pretty simple. Steps 1, 2, 3. You want to upload an image, and then right below that question mark, that's where your image will appear. It says edit page, and that's when you can fill out your basic information, what your purpose is, how long you've existed, and all of that. For your image, it's actually very important. I really find a tall, narrow picture that really embodies your town. We use, if you look at the left, we use a picture of the courthouse and a picture of our historic Main Street buildings. Everyone that looked at those in our county would know exactly where that was. St. Louis uses the arch, that's their iconic thing. And downtown Joplin uses this of their probably the tallest building in their town. And one thing that, and that's because the format, the reason you want to use a tall, narrow picture is that's just the way it'll show up on your page. And you can have an image about 200 pixels wide, but up to 600 pixels tall. So just use that space up. You also want to pay attention to your thumbnail because that's the thumbnail that's going to be showing up on your feed. If you think all of your posts that you make, it's mostly showing up on the news feed. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that image and what it looks like. And this is why I really recommend having an actual photo of your town as your logo, or this isn't your logo, this is just like an image there. Because if you look at the bottom thumbnails, downtown Muncie has a pretty clever, ad about shop and live downtown, but it's cut off. It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make you think those heartfelt feelings for downtown Muncie. Where if it was a picture of the courthouse or some other historic part of their town, it'd be better. And same thing with Miami. You look at that information, and it's so shrunk down, it's not effective. And if you need to get pictures of your town, you can go to Flickr. It's a lot of amateur photographers upload their stuff. We found great pictures of Painesville on this website. We emailed the user that uploaded the picture and said, hey, can we use your photo to promote our town? We really loved it. We'll give you credit for it. And they within 48 hours, we had like 5 or 6 different people all say that we could use their stuff. And because they're amateur photographers, they're not making their money. They're living off this, so they're very willing to do it for free. And they kind of love the idea that their picture is being used to promote the town. And so this is what your page will look like when it is done. You have your image, and you can see why you want a tall, narrow image because it fits into that slot pretty well. And then your default view is the wall, and that's where when you type an update into Facebook, it's short, maybe a sentence or 2 or 3, and if you post it right where it says write something, and then you hit enter. You could post photos, you could post links, and so here, if you look at ours, we posted one about there's a pizza restaurant in town that got a good review from the paper, so we just posted it on there, and that's your default view, and those posts are then integrated into the into that news feed, so that people can really see. That's where people are interacting, and most of them aren't seeing it right here. And so if you look at it, that's like Skyline Chili. That's how it looks on their page. But when it comes to my page as the user, as the fan, it's integrated. So you can see it. You can also see that their logo, it nicely fits into the icon. But it's important to have an image there for that. And you also have your info tab and your photo tab. These other tabs, ignore them for now. And then a lot of times when you custom build a page, there's some other tabs like discussions and reviews. I would just not have those tabs, but you can do those what you want. And then some tips for sharing content. You can post much more frequently on Facebook than you can via email because it's passive. It shows up on their page. Generally, you want to be a resource to fans. If you're informative and you send out stuff that some news, people are going to really like that. You send out news. If you send out information that there's a new restaurant in town, or you post the obituary of the person from town who died while in the service, that sort of thing, that is informative. People want to know those things. And we've had a great success posting historic photos of our town. People love it and comment on it and just love the information. One of the advantages of Facebook is your homepage kind of functions like that inbox, but photos are automatically shown in the thumbnail version if you upload a photo. Or like if you send me an email with photos, I'd have to open it. And so I'm not going to see that engaging visual content until I open it and click display images. But with Facebook, if you say you upload a photo album of a new restaurant, those pictures of the new restaurant are showing up on the home page of all of your fans right away, and that visual is much more, is pretty compelling. So be sure to use lots of photos. And you also want to be conversational and talk to your users like a friend. And so we have some examples of posts that we've done. This is a strategy that we've used to market some businesses, is that we'll cluster them together and take a catalog. So we went to, we have 3 different bakeries in town, and we took pictures of their Christmas specials, uploaded them, and 34 people liked it, 11 people commented on it. It got a lot of reaction because you could see this is the product. So you could see that someone, might click like downtown Painesville just for whatever reason. Now they see that we have these bakeries. We're physically showing them that. And that's a way to market your town, is just take pictures of businesses and put them up there. We just did one actually this week that was home and garden businesses. They kind of fit with the theme. All it took was one volunteer to go to these stores, take pictures on the inside, upload them to one album, and post it. And bam, the whole town now could see what are the kind of the sales for that time of year. You could also post here that we posted just a link to a bed and breakfast that's in our town. It's a really easy way to post content. Just put them to a link that's positive. Here we posted snow day. I woke up at 6:45 in the morning, and both local schools didn't have school that day. But one of the things like this, you might think, well, what does this have to do with downtown revitalization? But the way Facebook works is that their algorithm that picks they have like a top news thing on your feed. So basically the people that you and brands that you interact with the most appear higher in the rankings. And so by having something like this where 20 people clicked like and a bunch of people commented on it, it kind of boosts, this Joe Watson that clicked like or on it. The next time we post something, we're going to be higher on his feed list, more likely to show up towards the top. So kind of showing that news people are posting their memories of town, which is, a snow day is their memory of town, so you're kind of strengthening that brand. Here's an example of like an organizational thing that we used it for. We put new moms in the fall, and 3 of our volunteers paid for them and put them up. And so we were able to thank our volunteers basically in front of the whole town. And I know they really appreciated the mention. And we get to show, a lot of times stuff happens in downtown, and it's always like, they did this, they knocked this building, they put this there, and it's always this they. And people in town really don't know which entity is putting it up, or which volunteers, or whether the city did it or your organization. And here you can give credit to the city when they do great things, and you can take credit for the stuff that you do, and you can physically show, so now when people walk down the street and they see these baskets, they might think of that time it was in their Facebook feed. Here's the best response we ever got, actually, from any of our posts. We have 2 arch rival high schools, Harvey and Riverside, in our town, and we just asked who was going to win, and we had 70 comments. And people were trash talking about the high schools, generally pretty friendly. And one of the neat things about Facebook is that compared, we all have the local newspaper or, the old cranks in town comment and say nasty things. And in Facebook, you control your brand. You can just delete any comment that you want. You can kick them out of your page so they can't post. So you kind of have control over that sort of thing, so you don't have to kind of get in arguments on your page. But if you ask your users questions, a lot of times they'll respond and they'll have a stronger connection with your brand, so that when you're trying to actually advertise stuff, it can get to them. Another trick is that you can embed Facebook in your website. So say you had some tech whiz that designed your website. It's kind of a pain to bug that person every time to upload their web page. So if you ask them to put your Facebook feed in there, this thing on the right of our website, it's called a like box. And so if you just Google Facebook like box, it'll show up and it'll tell you how to put this into your website. And then anytime you post on Facebook, it uploads your website, simplifies your life. We all are juggling a lot of things. It just makes it easier. So yeah, the different strategies is be conservative with email, only do it once a week, send it out only when there's news. And then with Facebook, you can post frequently. We post a couple times a day, at least post a couple times a week so that you can stay in contact with people. Yeah, the next thing that we're going to focus on is building your contact list. And that's the key thing here, is that I can email right now with the contact list that we built about 5,000 people with our email program. But to get those 5,000 contacts, we had to put effort in. We had to put some time in, and we tried a lot of different ideas. And the benefit is that you can learn from our mistakes and our best practices, and we're going to show you what those are. But this is really where I think mainstream programs need to put a little bit more effort in terms of that. Because if you're going to have a Facebook page, you might as well have one with a couple thousand fans. If you're going to have an email update list, you might as well have it be a big update list, or else you're not using your time as wisely as possible. So the bigger your list, the bigger your impact. Imagine if you could email every person in your town, if you could email every person in your county, how effective that would be. And we showed you our numbers compared to our local paper. I mean, that's monetary. That's a monetary value in that type of reach. And so here's how we did it. There's 2 types of list building, organic and inorganic. And as you can imagine, the organic is the good and the inorganic is the bad. We have organic list building is when people sign up or opt in to receive emails or click like to become a fan. So it's like if I said, hey, go on our website, sign up to get downtown Painesville emails, that's organic growth. Inorganic growth is if I went to a company and bought 10,000 emails from Greater Cleveland and just started sending them emails about Painesville. That's spam, and in almost all cases, that's illegal, and don't do that. And we're going to show you really how to do organic growth, and it's not passive growth. You can be very aggressive about growing your list without basically stealing lists or using other lists. And so we're going to show you how to do that. Your first step is to import your existing contacts into your email program. And so you're going to type up an Excel file that kind of looks like this one at the bottom. You're going to have a column for your first name, a column for your last name, and the email. I mean, if you want to put company or address in there, you can, but that's not that relevant. because the only things you're ever going to use are their first name and their email address when you send out emails. And you want to type up all of your members. You want to create an email list with all your merchants. You can put your city and county employees in there if you want, your local media, and your elected officials, everyone from the town dog catcher to probably your member of Congress in there. And then every time you collect information, you're going to put it back into an Excel file with a column for first name, a column for last name, and email, and that's how you're going to upload it. And so if you think of today, if you spend the rest of your workday typing up this email list already between the city and county employees, your members, your merchants, you probably have an email list that's already a couple hundred emails big. Now you can send out with Constant Contact or another management program. You can email out all that stuff. The second part is once you create your page, you can suggest the page to your friends, especially if you are from the town. Like I grew up near Painesville, so a lot of my friends were from Painesville. I invited them to become fans of the page. And you could get to 200 fans pretty quickly, or 100 fans pretty quickly by just inviting your friends. Unfortunately, only the people that are administrators of the page can do the suggest friends part of it. And now this is where most Main Street programs stop, in my experience, is that they get an email list of a couple hundred people at most, and then they might invite their personal friends to become fans of their page. But it really stops and kind of plateaus at about 200 contacts, and that's where most programs stop. They get to this point and they stop, and you can't do that. You got to put the time and energy in to build your list, to build that powerful list that you can contact all those people. And so here's how you kind of do that, because a lot of people just stop here because they just don't know what else to do. And so here's what you could do. You want to collect emails at every meeting and event. If you have a town hall meeting about the new downtown streetscape, collect everybody's email, add them to your email list, and do that. Here's an example of a form that we already had for a couple years. We had an open house for the Christmas season, and a couple hundred people would participate in this and fill out the form for a raffle. And we started collecting emails on this, and so every time we have this holiday event that we advertise on the radio and through other means, if someone comes out, we get their email. Now we can keep those people updated. So make it part of every form that you ever have people fill out to do. But it's difficult to do that. And so here's a strategy that worked extremely well for us. So we had a big event in town called Party in the Park. It's like our town festival. Every town has, the big Strawberry Festival, the Maple Festival, or the Homecoming Festival. This was our big festival. And my first year on the job, I spent all 3 days in our booth bugging people to sign up for downtown email updates. We might have gotten out of 28 hours or so of volunteer work, or 30 hours of volunteer work, maybe about 140 emails from bugging people to sign up to get downtown updates. Most people will refuse additional advertising. If you think about it, you might like Taco Bell. If it was a choice between you watching your favorite program or watching a Taco Bell commercial, you're going to live the rest of your life. So it's very difficult to get people to say, I want to, you kind of have to give them an incentive to sign up for your email. So this is a strategy that we did. We raffled off a netbook computer that cost $280 and got 1,400 emails out of it. We walked around the event. We didn't even run this event. We partnered with the organization that did. We got volunteer T-shirts that said staff T-shirts. We had only 3 volunteers for the 3 days. We had the credential that said we were with the event, a hopper to collect all the cards, and the prize of the laptop. And so we basically walked around. We had a stack of note cards. The ones on top were filled out, or not filled out. We put ones that were filled out at the bottom. You just went up to people, and we would say, hey, we're with Party in the Park. We're doing a free laptop raffle, and all you got to do to participate is to fill out this card. And we're already handing them the card. We're not saying, do you want to participate? We're not giving them a chance to say no. Now the card's in their hand. They're reading it. They trust us because we're with the event. They fill out the email, the name, the zip code. It's kind of annoying to give over your email or to write out your email, but for a chance to win a free computer, that's probably something they'll do. And we probably had about 90% of the people that we approached over the 3 days participate, and we got 1,400 emails, which was by far our best, most success we've ever had with that. So that's one idea to try. And you could partner with different events. You don't even have to run the event to do that. You also want to collect emails on your website because most visitors will never come back. And we do that just like Barack Obama does that, just like Coca-Cola and Nike. Everybody wants your email. But versus 3 years of having a website that collected emails versus this one event promotion, we got more in these 3 days than we did in 3 years of having it on our website because it's not passive. We're literally walking around bugging people and giving them an incentive to give us their emails. Now, this is going to be the more technical part of the program about how you can build your Facebook list. And so just like a website, most people will only visit your page maybe once if they click on it. And so in that one visit, you have to think, what is the best way for us to get them to click like? Because once they click like on this page, that way your updates are now going to their feed, and they're part of your advertising sphere. And so you really have one chance to convert fans. And so if you're not a fan of our page, if you pulled up downtown Painesville on your computer right now, this is what you would see. And we're basically trying to encourage you to click like. We tell you right away, you got to click like to get to the content, and we make it seem like to get to anywhere else on our page, that's the first step. And we're going to teach you how to build that sort of landing page. Generally, if you are a fan, you're automatically directed to the wall. This is what our Facebook page looks like right now. So it's our post. You can click to write something, and it shows up here. And your fans, by default, automatically see this page. And so you can have a different landing page for your non-fans, but it's for your fans. So it's kind of an effective strategy. So we developed this custom landing page, and this is what everybody sees that's not already a fan. So it's a very effective front gate because we're trying to turn our conversion as high as possible to get people to click like. Because if they visit our page once and don't come back, most people are not going to come back. It's going to be when we get access to their feed, and they have to click that little button at the top for us to get that. So here's how Facebook list building goes. If you look at the graphic, you want to basically create promotions and different strategies for pushing people to click on your basic link, which you can design a custom URL for your website. If you look at this link at the bottom of the screen, it's facebook.com username. If you pull that up, you can create a custom name for any page or personal profile that you want. So we're facebook.com/downtown Painesville. So it's kind of an easy thing to remember. And then so you push these non-fans to this landing page, which is the default page that they'll see. That's a high conversion chance that they're going to create a fan. And so now we're going to show you, so this is how the process works. And it's just like, just like an aisle in a grocery store. You want to channel the customers to go through a certain channel. And so if you can get them to go through this, click on that one page, you have a very high chance that they're going to click like, that you get access to them forever. And so you want to promote that basic and direct people to that basic URL. And here's how we do it. This is what we call our event photo strategy. We go around to events that are already happening in our neighborhood and take people's pictures and say, hey, do you want to have your picture taken for the Painesville Facebook page? 90% of the people say, oh, yeah, sure, why not? And we get them to get together in a group, and we take their picture, and then we pass out to every single person that we took their picture this card that says, smile, check out your picture and the album from today's event at our Facebook page, and you can tag your friends and neighbors. And so now we've created a very strong incentive for every single person that we've come across to go to our page because their picture's on it. And it's basically we're putting their picture up in front of the whole town. So now they're concerned, oh, is my hair messed up, are my eyes closed, all this other funny stuff. And because we asked them at the beginning if they wanted their picture up there, they're already opting in at the beginning. So we're not putting up anybody's picture that doesn't want it up there. And this event, these pictures that you're looking at are actually from a local high school football game, the big Harvey Riverside game that we joked about before. So we didn't even tell anybody we were coming. We just had a camera and about 2,000 of these cards. I went around and took people's pictures, gave them the cards. I went home that night, took 10 minutes to upload all the pictures, and this was the result. This is 351 people tagged themselves or tagged their friends in photos from just that one event. So with 1,000 business cards, one camera, one volunteer, and 2 hours at a high school football game, we had 351 people at least click on our page, if not more, just from this one event. And you can see it's kind of a powerful visualization there. But it's very effective in terms of driving traffic. And people are most interested in themselves, And so if you put them on your webpage, they're going to do that. So you can see now if they think, you give them this card that directs them to the page, and then this is what they see. Now they think that they have to click like to see their own picture. You've created a very strong incentive for them to click like. Another couple of small strategies, if you put the photo description of every photo as a link to your page. For instance, if any of your friends are tagged in somebody else's album, the description for the photo shows up in your feed. So this is my friend Elena. if she was tagged in this album, here's how it would look in my personal feed. And so there's 2 links here. If you look, this downtown Painesville link and this link and then photo description, where people click on either of those links, they go to that landing page, and they too are likely to click like to see their friends' pictures. And so that is an example of the social networking aspect of it. Is you make it social. It's cool. You could see the pictures of the whole town. People are not fascinated by that stuff. They're going to click on it and they're going to view it. Another strategy is to put content on your page and then email it out. And so we emailed out those same football pictures to the town, and we linked people directly to our Facebook URL. So now if they were interested in looking at those pictures, we've just converted someone on our email list to a Facebook supporter. Another thing I wanted to show you with this is, as we talked about putting the juicy content in the email subject line. So if you look at the subject line here, it says 1,000 Painesville pictures. That's a very effective, juicy headline. If I sent you an email that said 1,000 Springfield pictures or 1,000 Columbus pictures or 1,000 Youngstown pictures, if you're from that community, you're going to want to, you want to check that out. You want to see it. That's the sort of juicy thing you want to put in the subject line to get people to open the email. And then once they're on your page, you kind of want to offer them an incentive to click like. And so in ours, we make it seem like to get to the photos, they have to click like. We intentionally, mimic the format of Facebook to make it seem very official, and we do that. So here's how you do this. If you go to our page, my email address is up there, and if you email me, I can email you the link to this application and the code that you'll need to put up your page, because it's not as easy to communicate through a webinar, so to speak. So if you go to Downtown Painesville page, my personal email is there. I'll send you the code that's going to pop up on the next screen. But there's an application that you can add to your page. It's called Status FBML. If you've heard of HTML before, that's how they build websites. FBML is the language that Facebook application developers use. And so this will help you create a custom tab. So if you just search static FBML, it'll pop up. And you click Add this application to the page. Then when you go back to your page, you click Edit Page, you go to Apps, you go to App, and then under FBML, you click Go to App, and this is the screen that will pop up, this custom tab. And so this box title is your tab title where it says FBML, and you can put a code in there. And so this is what it looks like in reality, is that you could change it. We changed it to a welcome code, and this is the image. And one of the cool things about the code that you can get from email, I'll show it on the screen here in a second, is that you could have a different view for fans versus non-fans. So this is what a fan would see if they clicked over to our welcome tab. But this is our default landing page for non-fans. So it's through this FBML program that we created this duality of the landing page. So this is the one part of this instruction that's a little bit more technical. You're going to need someone that has some kind of Photoshop capability to put together 2 images. And they need to be 520 pixels wide and generally a height less than 600 pixels. And one is for non-fans to see, and one is for fans to see. And then you'll punch these pictures into the code that I'm going to send to you, and that's how you do it. And so anyone that, this isn't that complicated. I mean, there's no graphic design. You don't need a graphic designer. You just need anyone that knows some things about Facebook, or not Facebook, Photoshop, to put together an image that's 520 pixels wide that says, click this like button. And that's basically what you want to do. And we faded it out, so it made it really seem like you had to click on that, that's what was blocking it. It made it seem very official and very easy to understand. We were directing them to do one action and making it very simple for the user. And then you want to upload your images to an external site and host them on a different site. And then from that link, once you have an image link for your image, you punch that into this code. And so this is the code that you punch. It's very simple. If you ever looked at the website URL, this is extremely, or HTML, this is extremely simple. The yellow is where you want to put the direct image for your non-fan, and the blue is where you want to insert your direct URL. And then you copy this whole thing with and put it in that box on that tab. And this is the tab that you do it. So if you add the static FBML program, you go to Edit Page, Apps, go to Apps, and that's where you paste the code right in this general box right here. And then you can change your title, and then you put Save Changes. And then the other thing that you have to go do is you have to make that your landing page. So in your Edit Page, portion, you're going to click on Manage Permission, and then we'll open up this screen. And then right where it says Default Landing Tab, if you click on this, it'll show your wall, your photos. We have the tab that we created is called Welcome. So make that the default landing tab, and voila, you now have a landing page. And the key thing is just creating this image. It's all just one image that we created in Photoshop that is now inserted as the #1 image when people land. And so that's what converts people to like. And so that's the process of how to do it, is that you have to have that receiver, that landing page to convert people that do come to your site into fans. Then you have to go out in your community and do promotions like our event photo idea, which is very, very simple, and then drive the traffic to your page, and then that clicks like. That's how we created a brand that's 4,500 people. I think we have 4,700 fans, and we started in July. So if you do this sort of programming, it's great because you only need a couple people to do it. Between a whole promotions committee, you can say, you take pictures at this event, I'll take pictures at that event, and it works out. And that's how you can get that there. And so that's basically how you do it. You utilize your existing brand. You make it extremely simple to sign up, and you go out. And you have to go out at these public events and collect emails, either through a raffle concept like we showed you, or collect Facebook users by taking a picture and giving them the card and directing them to your page, which takes them to the landing page, and that's what you got. So that's how we did it.
Great, Doug. We have a few questions for you. The first one is when you were referring earlier to collecting emails, a person wanted to know of the 1,400 emails you collected, how many of them have you retained?
I could actually, if we pull them up, we could actually show you right now how many we had retained. We got 1,200, and we collected zip code on there. So I think zip code is an important thing to collect because, obviously if they're from Cincinnati, they don't very much care about what's going on in our suburban Cleveland town. So we were able to filter out people right away for that. But if you look here, I can show you our contact list, and you see all of our lists right here on our screen. And so this is Party in the Park people that we broke down, what I highlighted here. So this is the amount of people that were from our Painesville zip code was 536. We had Lake Georgia people, which are people from our county and the county below us, and that's 311. And then people that were basically from greater Cleveland was 184. And then we just eliminated, from those, we had about 1,200 email addresses because some people just gave us their phone number or like their email didn't work. And so if you added up all those counts, probably about 1,000, and so this is in July. And obviously the people most likely to say we don't want your emails are the people that live further away, and by having the zip code, then we just filtered those 100 or so people out that lived way outside town out of our email list.
Great, Doug. We have another question. It's about advertising. Can you make income off of any advertising?
It's very complicated from a financial standpoint because, for instance, say Joe's restaurant on the square pays you to advertise via email. That's program income, and you have to account for that separately from your nonprofit donation. So then it becomes more of an accounting aspect that I'd talk to your bookkeeper or your accountant about how that would work. And generally, because we're nonprofit organizations, it's a little bit different in that you're not like a chamber style. I think it's a C6 format where it's like a business promotion group. So you have to be very careful about that with your nonprofit status. But we haven't tried to do that yet. But obviously, if you do promotions for people in town, when you go to those restaurants and ask for their annual contribution to your organization, they'll be a lot more receptive because your first interaction with them was benefiting them. And for very little effort on your part, once you have the system set up, you could benefit them. And so, yeah, it does help you do that. I think the bigger thing is that now you have a list. You're a very known entity. People can see what you're doing, and so you can fundraise off that list and send out fundraising letters. Or when you call people for fundraising, they know, or say you have a product and you're selling, I think Sandusky does a duck race. Imagine if they could, sell their duck race things with an email list of 5,000. Now imagine the other thing is if they collected on those duck race tickets the email address of every person and said that they'd email the winner. Now that they just sold 20,000 duck tickets, they have 20,000 emails. And so there's other ways to make money off it that's not just charging your merchants.
Thanks, Doug. We have a question about multiple groups. having pages. So if Painesville had somebody in Painesville that really liked Painesville and they made their own separate page. The question is, dealing with both communities and businesses, do you have any strategies for dealing with that? So if you had another person hosting another group that said Painesville downtown or something like that, do you have any strategies?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key strategy is that with these list building techniques, you could build a communication list that's bigger and has more impact than your local newspaper. So it's like if Joe Smo has a Painesville Facebook page that has 300 or 30 fans of it, and you have one that has 3,000 fans, you're just drowning them out by sheer numbers, and they're not going to put the time in to do it. And I'll give you an example. There's like a blog about our town that some cranky guy that goes to every city council meeting just complains about everything. And if you Google it, maybe on page 10 it shows up. But because it's a blog, he doesn't know how to do these strategies. You can kind of drown out people that are negative on it. The other thing too is you might want to partner with people on it. And that's why I think if you are the brand, if you control the page that says Downtown Painesville, it's a very effective brand to do. To control that. And so, I mean, you can maybe work it out. I mean, generally the city, when they have events, we post their events on our page, so it's not as much of competition there. We post all the churches' information. A lot of the churches have their own page. So just because we have a bigger list, everybody else really is like we drown them out. And I would say build your list, make your list bigger if someone's being obstinate. And then when people search if people search your town name on Facebook, a page with 10,000 fans is going to show up way before a page with 12 fans is going to show up. And so definitely just build your list up and outpower them.
Now we have another question dealing with the email lists. They're asking if you're using one master contact list or if you are designing tailored lists for people.
Well, I'll show you an example here in our constant contact. This is all of our lists that we've ever had. So this is people that we collected their, this holiday open house, that form I showed you. We have media contact lists. We have people that we met at the luncheon. Generally, when I send out an email, I just put this button and it sends it out to everybody, right? But there might be an email that we don't want to go out to a certain demographic. We collected a bunch of college kids emails, for instance, at this Welcome Back concert here. Those are all college kids, right? So if it's something about the senior center in town and the senior special at a breakfast place, they don't really need to hear that. So I'll just click that, and they won't go to that. And the more useful thing, I think, the more useful part is if we scroll up here, we have our design committee, we have our economic construction committee, all these different committees, and we can send an email to all those committee members about our next meeting or just an update to those committee members without sending it to everybody. So that's very effective. You can also create a list. I think we have a list in here that's Painesville businesses. You can send a list to just your downtown merchants. If you have something that's only relevant to them, just send that, just have a list for them. And so it's very effective in terms of being able to tailor, and that's just the last process to do. And generally, most, if you think of it as, the town event or the town festival or a new restaurant on the square, you're going to email everybody. Everybody's going to be interested in that. So you can send it out that way. Okay, Doug.
We have a question about where the $420 budgeted for Facebook goes to.
Yeah, that is actually for constant contact. So if we click on this pricing tab, we don't pay anything for Facebook. So basically, if you, okay, this is my Facebook page, and there'll be ads that pop up here, like Ohio State's trying to advertise to me, probably because I mentioned Ohio State elsewhere in my profile that I attended there. They want you to have to pay to get people to click on your page and then convert them into fans. But by having our event photo strategy, you're going out to the people in your community and giving them a reason to come to your page without having to pay for it. And so for an organization like us, we have no money to pay for Facebook advertising. So that's why you're kind of generating that traffic without having to pay Facebook. But on Constant Contact, this is their pricing model. So we're right here. That's highlighted. We have almost 5,000 contacts. So for the whole year, we pay $420 and that's our list for the whole month, or that's for the whole year. And so you can see if you have less than 500, you're only going to be paying 126, and it scales up. And for us, we're pretty close to going over to 5,000, so we'll have to start paying like 630. But it makes the management of the email system so much more smooth. And like I don't know how you would do it without it. It's just so difficult to manage it without it. And people signing up, people saying they don't want to get emails anymore. All of that is just very, very complicated and very time-consuming. And we don't have a lot of time because we're juggling. There's only one element of our Main Street program that we're juggling.
Great, Doug. There are a couple questions about Facebook and your usage of it. The first one is how often do you think people should be posting on Facebook to be effective? The commenter says they've heard somewhere between once a week to 8 times a day. So what do you think is the best strategy?
I think either of those work. One of the issues, and actually how it works is with your home page, it says top news right here. And so generally, if something gets a lot of likes, sent, for instance, like say one of my friends, got into medical school, all of their friends are going to like their status because more people like that status. It shows higher in my top news, because it's supposed to be an engaging thing. Where there's like what most recent news, which is the, all the stuff that's recently posted on here. And so, it goes back and forth. I usually post about 2 to 3 times a day. I think once a week or once a day is fine. 8 times a day maybe is too much because you don't have time to cycle through to have that. And one thing I forgot to mention in the session is that now Facebook shows you how many times your thing's been added, right? So, or how many times your post has been viewed. So here I posted that I was going to be doing this webinar today, and it shows, we had 4,200 impressions and 0.14% feedback. And an impression is when it shows up on your home page. With some of the other things that we've done might have more impressions or less impressions, and you can get to see the feedback of for each of these of how many people looked at it or had it pop up or how many did it. And you'll see that our actual number of impressions is higher than our total number of fans over here because, or wait, down here. It's higher than our total number of fans because, it might be showing up multiple times every time someone clicks back to their home page.
Okay, now a person is wanting to know what is the difference between a fan page and a group on Facebook?
The groups have recently changed. We have an old group called Downtown Painesville that originally we created it because pages didn't exist when we started. And I don't know why this person posted this. And so you just focus on the page. Like I just ignore groups. They completely changed the group format. Now if you create a new group, it's a little bit different. So I would just focus on your page because groups are a little bit, they've changed it quite a bit, and it's more for, maybe your design committee wants a group so you can collaborate, or it's more like a joint email list, which is messy because I don't know if you can, if everyone can message the whole list. With Facebook, the only people getting your messages or with the page, the only people getting the messages are people that you sent it out to, and you have total control over it. So yeah, I just focus on the page because they changed the group stuff. And the only reason we have a group is that we did it before the page's product was developed.
Okay. There's a couple we're going to combine into one here. Several people are asking it. They want to know how much time you're investing in doing the maintenance of the website itself and how much time you're really spending looking for any sort of negative comments and appropriate comments on there. So they just want to know what your general experience is with time.
Well, and actually it's a cool tool. So you can hear, okay, here's a view of the administrative view of our thing. I could click edit page over here, that sort of thing. But I could set it up so I could change settings over here. And so I could change my default view for the wall right here. So that shows all posts right now. But if say I want to only show posts by me, that will show up. So it's only posts by page. It's not if you go back to the wall, it's only posts by Downtown Painesville. No one else can post to the wall. So it's even if you logged on here and you wrote something, it would show up elsewhere. So you have total control over what's posted in general. The other element is that generally not that many people comment on it. So it's just like if you, and you have a negative comment on there, a lot of times it's like one person wrote Painesville sucks once. there was actually a couple of users that had been commented, why are you being so negative, like, that kind of defended the town. And like with Facebook, because it's tied to people's personal identities, there's much less trash talk than like your local newspaper, which is, they can have just any old random username and hide behind it. So generally, almost no time at all to do it.
And another question similar to this too. Someone is wanting to know how the notification system works for fan pages. So how do you know when a new comment has been posted about something that you posted?
I actually get no notifications that I know of. I don't know if I turned them off or if that happened. It's generally not as common. And so like one of the things, I'll show you the home page, is like default with, let me see if I can find a page post here. Yeah, so okay, so here is and the difference between a personal post. So this is my friend Ryan. He posted he's running for mayor of Gahanna, or how about that? And so the comments show up in the profile. Where if you're a page, so say this, so allfacebook.com is another brand I'm a fan of on Facebook. They have 11 comments. They're automatically not deployed. So almost no one's seeing the comments unless you have to click on it to see it. So it's not as, I wouldn't be that nervous about people saying negative stuff. I mean, you definitely have to get out there and send out your positive stuff for that.
Okay, going back to the groups versus fan page, someone is saying that they're not a fan of the groups really anymore either. Should they be making the change to start a fan page on Facebook instead of keeping their group?
One thing with a group, the advantage of the old style of groups is that you can message all the members and it comes to their inbox. So that's why we keep ours active instead of just deactivating it. But we've made it private, or a secret group. So only people that are currently in the group can even see it. So if new people go on and we gave them this card and maybe they lost the card and they're searching downtown Painesville and Facebook to try to find their picture, the only thing that's popping up is the page there. So yeah, I would just focus on a page. The other thing is, like, if you have a group that maybe has 150 fans and you're like, oh no, I have the wrong title for my page, just scrap it. Just create a new page. It's not. We've showed you how you can probably have 500 fans at the next high school basketball game. I would say it's better to get your structure set up correctly before you get started. And those first 100, 150 fans are the easiest to get. So even if you lose, 10 people, would a better name help you get more than 10 people? So I'd encourage just starting over and doing it with a very simple name. Downtown Painesville, Heritage, Ohio. Be very simple about it.
Okay, Doug. And the same person also is asking, was it difficult to get your group members to transition over to your fan page?
Actually not. I'll show you how it's easy to do. So this is an old style group. I don't know if the current groups run this way. I have not dealt at all with the current groups. But there's this little tab right under our picture that says Message All Members. So you could click this with the old groups. And this is part of why I actually love the old group product before they kind of got rid of it. And I could send them, hey, check out our new Facebook page, send the link, type up the link, and they'll likely to click over it. But that's where some of these emails were like, check out 1,000 Painesville photos. People are more likely to click on that. They're going to land on the landing page. If they click like, very effective to grow it. So you can actually message all your group members. With page members, you can't message them directly like that. So, yeah, it's just, I wouldn't worry about losing it as much because once you have the structure built correctly, it can really hum, and you can really grow it much more quickly than your group even existed now. So that's one thing. And some of the stuff you could just change. I would just make sure it's right first and then grow it.
Okay. Now back to the constant contact. There are two questions on this. The first one is when you collect emails at events, how do you tell people about what you're going to be using their emails for? Should they know that they've been or will be getting a newsletter, for example?
We generally have it be an opt-out process. I don't even bring that up to people. And honestly, like the difference was actually if you look at these contacts, so here's Party in the Park. the very, let's see, Party in the Park, the very first year I did it, we had 120 people, and that's me standing in the square, bugging every single person that walks by to sign up for downtown newsletters, downtown updates. We got 120. And then this year, we dramatically increased our numbers by having this raffle format. And so like it says in the small print, like you're signing up for downtown updates, but generally people can just click unsubscribe on any email. So like if I pulled up any email that I sent out, you know, it would happen that way. So you can click out at any of the emails. At the bottom of the email, you can click sign up, unsign up. And so that's if you're not, you know, a lot of people will say, you know, I don't know how I ended up on your email list. I just love that I know what's going on in town for once, you know. And if someone doesn't want, it's one click. You know, you're not doing them this huge just favor by it. They offer the form that you have them sign that signing up for downtown updates underneath all the raffle stuff. So is it misleading? Slightly, but it's one click to unsubscribe. So you're giving them, you know, if they're mad that you sent them an email, they can quickly click unsubscribe. But generally, we haven't had that many problems with it.
Okay, two last questions, Doug. One is on Constant Contact, and the last one is on Facebook. The last one on Constant Contact is asking if you have somebody listed in multiple lists, whether they will get a duplicate email or they'll just still get one.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about this program, right? So say someone's on this downtown update list, which and they're on a promotion committee, right? If I send so you know, I might send an email to everybody, and that might send out to our downtown updates. But if I click just to send it to the promotion committee, they'll just get one email. If I click all this and say they're on the promotion committee here and the economic restructuring committee, they're only getting one email for that email set. So the program automatically does that. So it avoids a ton of headaches. The other thing, too, is like, say someone unsubscribed last year at Party in the Park, and they didn't want to get your emails. Even if we try to add them and re-upload the Excel file with their old email address, they're still going to be on our unsubscribe list until they choose to opt in again because they've opted out. So it really helps you stay legal, and it really helps you really manage your email list. And it's just very, very effective. And just real quickly, I want to show how easy it is. So say, you know, I got news that tomorrow there's a new coffee shop opening in our neighborhood. We want to send it out. I would literally just click this. This is the email that we just sent out earlier in the week. Click copy, and then a page will open up. And within 5 minutes, I could send out a new email for it. It's going slow now because of the webinar software. But you know, new coffee shop, say the email name. So this is only like an internal tracker, so I know what the email topic was about. And then I could say, you know, new coffee shop. I can have it come from me, you know, and then edit. And it's literally this quick. It's how quick I'm sending it. Well, actually, I need to upload my Firefox. So I'm actually snowed in today at home. So I don't. But if you have a certain browser to go further. But really, it's just that easy. Within 5 minutes, you can send out a new email. And that's the thing. It's like once you have one of these emails set up, just click on it, and then click copy, and then change all the information because you have it all set up. Like I have our letterhead in there and that sort of thing. So yeah, so it's very, very easy. It manages everything. It's definitely worth every penny. Like I think we pay $4.20 a year for it. I think about $1.02 a day or something like that. Definitely, absolutely worthwhile. It has given our organization a huge megaphone to really help everything else that we do, whether it's helping businesses or driving volunteers to one of our volunteer events. It is very, 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 very effective.
Okay, Doug. One last question for you. Somebody wants to know whether when you're setting up a fan page, you have to use a personal email account or not an email account, but a personal Facebook page tied to it, or if you can set a standalone account up.
I think you just stand a standalone account up, but I think it's actually easier if you have it tied to you, right? So like I log into Facebook regularly as myself. You know, when I had to log in today, I logged in as myself. And if I go to my page, if I type in the page, it comes up as downtown Painesville. So no one has an idea, you know, that I'm typing myself, even though I'm logged in. So now this will post, hello everyone, and it shows it's from downtown Painesville. So it kind of gives you that independence where you can make general updates. But if you look at our edit page and you go to admin, you can add multiple people as your administrators. So as long as they're, I don't know if they have to be a fan of your page already. But say I wanted to, add someone in our group. Our board president is here, and I could add him as our administrator. And I could save changes and then send him an invite, and then he could post as downtown Painesville. So that's how you can kind of it's a brand identity that's independent. But generally, I would say tie it to your personal account. The other advantage of that is if you don't have a personal account now, create one, see how it works, and that will give you a better understanding of how to contact people. Because if you've never used it as an individual, it's very hard to get in that individual user mindset of how everything's interacting every day. So generally, at any time I have 3 or 4 people as administrators. Then if someone leaves, like some of our interns, when they're working for us, I'll add them as an administrator. And then when they're not with us, I'll just take them off of it. And that way we have multiple people with access to it.
All right. Thanks, Doug. It's been a great webinar today. And thank you, everyone who came today. It's a very cold, blustery Groundhog Day here in Northern Ohio, but if you're elsewhere, enjoy your warm weather. And check us out soon. Our next webinar is going to be on March 2nd, which is also a Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And that one will be featuring how to brand your own community. So until then, take care and thank you again.